On 27 July 2021, Zanele Nhlebela graduated from Wits University. It was a proud day for her. She had her whole life ahead of her, and as the eldest sibling at home, she was setting an example. Her siblings, Sikhona, who was 18 years old, and Lunga, who was 17 years old, had someone to look up to, and their parents had really done a good job. The future was looking bright for the Nhlebela siblings. However, their parents, Zanele and Richard, even though had done a very good job in raising them, were not in a good space in their marriage. There was trouble in the relationship, and for some reason, their mother, Zanele, could not take it anymore. Zanele separated from Richard for months and told him that he had plans to divorce him. Richard could not get to Zanele. She had made up her mind and had served him with divorce papers. And after months of allegedly being threatened, Zanele left home for her safety. Richard then drove all the way from KZN to their other home in Joburg. When he got there, his children Emela, Sikhona and Lunga were home. He allegedly shot and killed his 3 children. When he was done, he set the house on fire. He then set their family cars on fire and then shot and killed himself, allegedly to spite Zanele. This is the sad story of Emela Lima Amanda, Sikhona Lwazi, and Lunga Philasanda Nhlebela. Welcome to True Crime with myself, Julia. On this channel, we cover true crime cases that have happened in South Africa. Today's case is one of those that are just so heartbreaking. It's a new case altogether, and for some reason, only Ilanga newspaper in KZN has covered the story extensively. And even though the incident happened in August, the Nhlebela siblings will only be laid to rest this coming Saturday, 27 September. So without wasting any more time, let us get into today's story. Today's story takes us from the quiet hills of Jozini in northern KwaZulu-Natal to the bustling township streets of Ekurhuleni in Gauteng. It's a story of respect, reputation, hidden pain, and finally, an unspeakable tragedy. Richard Nhlebela, a respected man, a school chairperson, a provider for his community, but behind the mask of respectability, Richard was a broken man, and when his marriage fell apart, he made a decision that shocked his entire community to its core. He shot and killed his 3 children, taking away their young futures just like that. He set their family home on fire and then turned the gun on himself. So there really isn't much on the family in the media or even on social media. Maybe this is because it's a breaking news story or that the family has requested for privacy, because I have seen that in most of the reports they have asked for privacy during this time. You can imagine the trauma. So from what we do know is that Richard was not just an ordinary man in Jozini. He was the chairperson of Nethezeka Primary School, and he helped families in need by selling them water when municipal taps ran dry. People really respected him in the community. They greeted him with honor and believed he was a pillar of strength. The family had good standing in the public. They had 4 children. It was Emela, Sikhona, Lunga, and another sibling who was working in the Limpopo province. According to reports that I saw on social media, they had Christian background. The couple raised their children with good Christian values. Sikhona and Lunga, who were the youngest siblings, attended a Christian academy, and one of their teachers said they were good kids. He said they were humble and that even after leaving the academy, they kept visiting the school to check up on the teachers and other learners. However, even though everyone in their community thought they had it all together, privately, Richard was unraveling. His marriage to Zanele was in turmoil. The couple had been living apart for years. Zanele and the children stayed mostly in Gauteng, while Richard refused to leave his ancestral home in Jozini, KZN. Family members say Zanele feared her husband. They said he had secret traits of being a toxic masculine. They said that she had endured years of threats and abuse from him. So she moved out and moved to the Joburg home, but Richard remained, telling people that he would never abandon his rural roots in KZN. So they stayed in KZN at first, and then they also had the Joburg home. But Richard refused to move away from the KZN home, and the kids and their mom moved by themselves. So they had two homes essentially. In public, Richard pretended everything was fine. He told neighbors and relatives that his marriage was strong, that he and Zanele were happy. But the family knew the truth. Things were falling apart. For Richard, reality kicked in that there is no saving his relationship and that Zanele has chosen herself when divorce papers were served to him. He simply refused. He did not accept that his wife wanted out, and his next move was tragic. On Sunday night, August 10th, 2025, at the family's home in Nigel near Springs in Gauteng, Richard acted on his darkest thoughts. Before the tragedy, he sent chilling voice notes to people close to him. In one of the voice notes, according to Ilanga newspaper, he told family and friends that they will never see him and his 3 children ever again. He said his wife Zanele can enjoy her own company for the rest of her life. Hours later, Richard allegedly shot and killed his 3 children. Lwazi's, Khona, and Emela were all killed at their home by their own father. He then set the family cars and home on fire before turning the gun on himself. The burnt remains of Richard and his children were discovered inside the house. The fire had destroyed almost everything, making the identification process difficult. Police confirmed that the family had gunshot wounds on their bodies. Zanele, Richard's wife, was not at home that night. Their 4th child, a daughter, survived also only because she was working in Limpopo at the time. The community of Jozini was left shaken. Neighbors could not reconcile the image of the respectable school chairperson and the community's water provider, the man who had just committed such a horrible crime. Richard's nephew, Zanele Nhlebela, expressed the family's pain. He said the family is still in shock. Funeral preparations were made for Richard and the 3 children. The 3 children will be buried at their home in Makhonyeni, Jozini, KZN, with the same man who took their lives on Saturday, 27 September. The Nhlebela family's tragedy is one of many in South Africa that highlight the hidden struggles of unresolved marital conflict and the devastating effects of gender-based violence and toxic masculinity. What seemed like a respected man in the community was a man who was living in darkness, and his inability to accept the end of his marriage ended the futures of 3 young children, destroyed their other sibling, and destroyed their mom in ways that no one can ever define. The voices of his children were silenced forever, their futures, dreams, and ambitions taken with them, all because one man could not walk away. 3 young lives full of promise were lost, not to strangers, not to criminals, not to sickness, but because of their own father. What do you think could have been done to prevent this? Let's talk in the comments. Please be safe. I will see you on the next one.